guest satisfaction among conference attendees report. This report was written in 2012 by Barbara Brookshire and Jeff Anderson. Let's get started. Well, the purpose and the introduction behind this is the Prestigo Hotel wanted to do a study. So they came about this report of doing something that was about their number one priority, which was great customer service. And they always set out to achieve great customer service for guest stays during conferences. So in the wake of this previous conference, the hotel started to research how much their guests were satisfied and what can they do to help. So they created a survey to get those levels going and see what the areas are concerned are. So these 3 questions listed are their main concern and their target. So I'm going to read to you those real quick. And also the reports or the stats I'm about to show you, their comparison between their 2008 report and this current report, which is 2012. So the first question is, how satisfied are conference attendees with services and amenities? What hotel services attendees use during their stay? And how likely are conference attendees to contribute to future business? Findings. These are statistics that will tell us what's the situation, what's the numbers, what's the problem, and we'll go from there. So for the overall satisfaction, in 2012, it was 84%. That's a good number, right? But their goal was to have an 85% to 90% range. And you see, in 2008, they achieved the balance in the middle of it. So that was great, but you see that it decreased as time went on. And when respondents were asked, well, did you want to return? In 2008, 72% said yes. And in 2012, 73% said yes as well, which is good that it went up 1%, but you can see that in 2009, 74% said they would come back, and which is good, but they still need to have their numbers up, but you can tell that's one of their strong areas. When it comes to recommending, not too many people were for that. In 2012, about half of the population said they didn't want, they would recommend, but the other half didn't. And in 2008, it was 62, so it's a little over half. But still, that section needs to be worked on, and it needs to be built up. And lastly, the satisfaction ratings for the use of guest services, such as the conference meals and the meeting rooms and experience. 2012 was 76%, in 2008 it was 87%. So as you can see in the chart, it decreased in some areas, but it increased in others. But mainly, you can see it goes down, comes back up, and goes down. So there's quite a few areas that needs to be worked on, and we'll see who influences those areas the most. So here is a chart separating the gender and income. Has come to find out as they research during time, females and the higher earners were the least satisfied. So as you can see, 78% compared to the male, 89% in the category of overall satisfaction, and higher income earners were 66% compared to low income earners, 88%. So now they have to figure out what is making their whole experience here less satisfying than those of a lower class or of another sex. When asked to return, females said they want to return more, which is surprising since they had kind of a less satisfaction rate. But the low income said they would return more than higher income, which would bounce off of the two stats, which the higher income has 54% return rate and lower income has 74% return rate. Then when asked what they recommend, the female said 47%, male said 67%. Then the lower income at 57 compared to the high income 37. So that area right there is definitely, you can tell, needs to be updated, needs to be increased, because that's, you can tell, is weak all around. And whatever procedures that they want to implement will definitely help strengthen that category, because you do want, as a business, for people to recommend each other, or recommend you to others so you can get more business. So this is just the findings information sheet, just saying their goals were to get about 85% in the 3 key areas, but they landed 64 to 76%. And they really didn't meet their goals for that year, but that doesn't mean the next year, the next coming years, they won't. Half of the respondents said they used the restaurants when it came to guest services and amenities, but that's only because it was convenient, and if they had a chance to go to the other ones, to like the comedy club, the golf spa, they would. So maybe, hopefully, they'll figure out some type of way to get the schedules for the conferences, separated or spread out, so they have time to use the amenities. And then for people with feature intention, that was about 6-7 points short of the goal of 90%. So here are the recommendations and implementation that they want to use to make sure that they get their levels where they're supposed to be. First, by examining the ways to raise satisfaction for women and higher income earners through focus groups, talking informally among guests, and cataloging their feedback in the databases. Second, they want to adapt the media marketing tools that they discuss and spread the word so that it appears to certain groups strongly and bring them in, such as nursing for a nursing conference. Third, they want to continue the customer service initiatives to improve staff and guest ratings by ensuring higher employment ratios or rates, so higher staff to guest rate. Then you got incentives for guest services, and providing training and mentoring programs for the guest attendants or staff. So that's definitely a plus. That will definitely bring in more people, workers and guest wise. And then lastly, they want to re-examine the catering services to improve conference meals and find additional ways to increase satisfaction ratings. So as we see on the last slide, when it came to meals and things like that, it was okay, but it could have been better. Yeah, it was okay, but it could have been better. Even those women in strong suit, they still have to figure out what works better for their guests. So hopefully in the upcoming years, as they use these rules and these guidelines to go by and use those stats, that they found that they'll make better ways and change their company to fit better the customers that come in. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.